Yo, what up people? Trey here. Welcome to Game Over Entertainment. And guys, I just have to thank you for all the comments, all the thumbs up from my last video of the Kenny versus Luke. Man, the feedback was incredible. It took me forever to go through the comments and just, pick some comments to talk about and stuff like that. I got so many comments that I'm just gonna pick like 20 at random from my selection and just talk about them real quick and then give you my thoughts on the characters Kenny and Luke and which one I would choose if it came between a life or death situation. So keep in mind that this may not even happen. All right, this is based off a prediction. Telltale may not give you an option between this Kenny versus Luke clash that they've seemingly been building up. So let's go ahead and go to the comments, man, because I have some very interesting comments on here. All right, let's see. All right, so Ryan Sub XX says, Team Luke. Kenny keeps making plans without thinking them through, while Luke is the opposite. All right, he has a point. All right, Kenny is more run and gun, but sometimes that can be to an advantage and a disadvantage. Kenny, his ability to act is what can save people in harmful situations. I wonder what Luke would have done if he saw Rebecca there and Walker about to eat the baby. Would he have had the guts to shoot Rebecca right there, or would he have hesitated and the baby would have died? So that kind of hesitation could be a flaw too. So that could be looked at vice versa. But thank you, Ryan Sub X, for your comment. And from Bryce Ainsworth, Kenny, no matter how much of a dick he is, I always choose him unless he does something really bad. Really bad, huh? That's interesting. What, Kenny fans, what could Kenny do that would be so bad that you like, okay, I'm switching teams, I'm not on Team Kenny anymore? All right, is it what could he possibly do? Okay, there's some things out there that, yeah. All right, but switching on to the next comment. Thank you, Bryce, for sharing that. So next on deck we have Elena McKenzie. Kenny needs to live, Luke needs to die. Nick and Sarah are dead because of Luke. I trust Kenny way more since he's a veteran in the Walking Dead games. Luke's character is kind of all over the place. He's confusing, and it's just Luke seems a little bit boring in my opinion. Season 2 episode 4 kicked off my interest in Luke though, with the things he's done with Jane. Really, Telltale, just really? All right, so we're talking about that little escapade he had with Jane. I guess Elena wasn't feeling that, and yeah, that's interesting. So another one on Team Kenny side, man. Don't like the actions of episode 4. I'm gonna talk about that a little bit later about Luke and his what happened with him. Yeah, I'm gonna talk about that because everybody talks about that, so we're gonna touch base on that. All right, next on deck, Lexi Porter, LOL. Luke, obviously. Whoever chooses Kenny, the pussy, needs to take a razor and make some art on their wrist. Really? Alright, somebody's overzealous right here. You need to calm down a little bit. It's not that serious, alright? So, yeah, moving on. Alright, and Puddle says Kenny Master Race. Okay. So, like, PC Master Race, Kenny Master Race, okay. Nikki Flawless Minaj says, I'm Team Kenny. I lost respect for Luke when he was fucking Jane. Okay, so again, with the guilt from hooking up with Jane. All right, yeah, I'm definitely gonna talk about that later on. All right, because that's one of the main arguments people are using against Luke. That's why they don't like him. So, all right, let's see who's next. Sean White, hashtag Luke Skywalker for life. Okay, one for Team Luke right here. About time. Gotta pick Luke on this one. Kenny is already halfway through the crazy town, and Luke's sword is truly one with the Force. Luke's sword would cut Kenny's mustache in half. Smiley face. Okay. All right. What? Gabe Martinez says Luke humped Jane and almost got everyone killed. Kenny for life. He's my favorite character besides Lee. Team Mustache. Hashtag. Alright, another one for Team Kenny up there. Still talking about that Jane incident. Assassino 275. Kenny's losing it. He won't last much longer. Alright, so yeah, Kenny is losing a little bit grip of humanity. Every person that dies that he cares about dies. He loses a little bit of himself, and I just hope if the baby comes into any kind of danger or harm, that Kenny can still retain himself, because I don't know, one more little shove off the edge and that may be it for that man right there. All right, next on deck, Magic Male 13. I can't decide who to pick. Kenny has been with me since season 1 and Luke has been with me since season 2 episode 1. I really like both of them, but if I had to pick Luke, I'm sorry, Kenny. All right, so that's someone who's really on the fence right there, man. It's going to be an interesting choice, man. Telltale's going to, if they do give it to us, they're going to make it so it's pretty dramatic. So yeah, it's going to be a tough one. Let's see. Ariba Yu Fang, Luke all the way. All right, one for Team Luke right there. That's what's up. Bro Joe, Luke is a nice guy, but I really like Kenny. Luke, Kenny. No, wait, Kenny. No, Luke, nah, Kenny. Okay. Brother Joe's having some trouble picking, all right, as a lot of people will have in the season finale. All right. Celeste Balaj says, I'm afraid Kenny is going to lose it and never was a big fan of Kenny, so I'm going with Luke. All right. So she never liked Kenny in the first place. That's all good. You know, me and my Lee in episode 1, me and Kenny, we got into some confrontations too. So yeah, I can see that, man. You know, Kenny, he's pretty argument. You know, it's not his way, it's the argument, or it's the highway. You know. Next coming up, Ricky Barber says, Kenny, if Kenny dies, we will riot, get all your weapons and rage on Telltale. We fight for Kenny, who is with me. Okay, someone's trying to start something on here. Chill out, Ricky. All right, but another point for Team Kenny right there, man. Another fan. Next on deck, Jack Campbell. Well, I would save Kenny because he's younger and can protect Clem better than an old man with one eye. Oh snap, taking blows. Okay. Plus, Kenny is always arguing and shouting at Clem in episode 4. So even if he apologized and he only cares for his family, and if you do one not side with Kenny, in season 1 he turns into a bastard. Okay, so I chopped that up right there. Basically, you know, just saying what I just said before, man. Like, if you don't agree with Kenny, like in season 1 and he's going back, it's usually hell or high water. You know, you're not with Kenny, then you are definitely against him. It's either or. There's no in the middle, okay? But that's another point for Team Luke because he's younger and can protect Clem better. Okay, that's an interesting argument. I'm not too sure about that, man. I don't know. Kenny is a badass, man. As far as, like, you know, look what Carver did to Kenny, and he's still getting up, fight walkers left and right. You know, Kenny's body is like a machine. Now mentally, maybe not so sound, but Luke, I mean, he had bruised ribs from Carver, but we didn't really see how bad Carver messed up Luke, so we don't really know what happened. But seeing, like, just looking at the damage that was done, Kenny took a lot more damage, and he is dishing out twice as much as Luke is on the battlefront. Okay. Brandon Byer says, for me, I'm with Kenny until the bitter end. The season finale is titled No Going Back, so to me, I can't turn my back on a person like Kenny, who has experienced so much loss in his life throughout the series with Katja Duck and recently Sarita dying. Even though I've had ups and downs with him, with Kenny, especially at the beginning of episode 4, to me, he's been by my Clem side for a long haul, which makes him more valuable to me than Luke. Okay, so a very nice Team Kenny supporter right there with a nice comment. Thank you, Brandon Byer, for sharing that. Hope I didn't chop your name up too much. Jordy Barrento says, hashtag Team Machete because hashtag Team Mustache will cease to function. All right, so I guess they're calling back to Kenny's mental state right now and where he is right now. That eye Kenny has, man, it looks pretty nasty, man. I hope it doesn't come back as like an infection, because that could be like a really bad scenario. I still got those pills on deck. Maybe I got some amoxicillin, some antibiotics up in there, so maybe Kenny's gonna be good. But an infection is nothing to play with in this type of environment, man. For real, infections can kill like the most powerful warriors. Gamer Grill 194, hashtag Team Mustache. Tough choice though. All right, so another point for Team Kenny right there. Okay, SX Death Psycho XX says, Kenny, I'm sorry. Luke, Kenny, Luke, damn it. I'll probably figure it out when I get there. Okay, so someone else is having trouble with this choice too, man. It's going to be an interesting one, man. Telltale is They're the masters at this, man. When they really got you thinking, you don't know what sides to pick. That's how you know they did a good job. Well, how Telltale knows they did a good job, man. When it's 50-50 on the choices, yeah, you had a good choice. Crimson here says, I choose Kenny because he's been with us since episode 1 of season 1. He's my favorite character other than Lee, so that's why I choose Kenny. Luke made me look down on him since episode 3, and episode 4 made it worse. I ain't gonna lie, man. Both of these characters, Kenny and Luke, took a step back in the likability range in episode 4. But episode 3, yeah, they really did some damage to Luke, because Luke was like, where was he when you needed him? And you know, that whole mess up with getting caught up by Carver. I mean, that was just a that was a fumble. Okay, I got a comment here from Andrew. I am team Luke because Luke seems like he's able to remind Clem of kindness and such. Kenny is a bit paranoid and could lead Clem down the Carver route. Well, now that would be an interesting storyline, all right, to see how that unfolds. All right, so Luke is a good influence and Kenny is a bad influence. Okay, thank you, Andrew, for sharing that. J Envy says, Luke, Kenny's way too unstable. All right, so that's another shot at Kenny's mental state, which has been called into question. All right, and CJ Dillon over here, he says, I'm on my own side. I don't pick either of them. Hashtag lone wolf. All right, so he's going the Jane route, man. Abandon everybody, man. Lena Dover says, plot. You have a decision to save Luke or Kenny. If you save Kenny, he'll say no, go save Luke, and Kenny dies. Kenny has nothing to live for. He is broken. Well, I disagree with that. It seems like he is fully invested into the safety of this baby right here. But Kenny, you know, letting sacrificing himself for Luke, I don't know about that scenario right there. I don't know if Kenny is that gracious. Okay, but thank you for sharing, Dover. Emma Onaga says, damn it, Telltale, you have to make us choose between our blunt, hot-headed, lovable of old stash pal Kenny or our new friend who saved us and acts like a big brother to Clem. Might I add that these damn choices not only give me many sleepless nights, but stir shit up all over. Example, this comment section. All right, yes, it has sparked this video right here, man. Without difficult choices, Telltale games would not be the Telltale games that I love. Thank you for sharing, though. DPHC13 says, I think it should be Luke because Kenny seems to be all messed up and broken in a way. You can't really trust him as much as you used to. Okay, so Kenny's mental state is called into question again, and I'm gonna talk about a little bit about that in episodes. I'll talk about it. Okay, how many comments is that? 1, 2. All right, that's enough. All right, that's enough. I'm gonna post some more comments up there. You can read them at your leisure, but I'm gonna talk in the background. All right, so guys, I don't care who you pick, Luke or Kenny, both of these guys are not perfect. All right, they're both trying to fill the leadership role and take charge of the group, and Telltale has them button heads at the end of episode 4 big time. All right, and Luke making a mistake, you know, at the end of episode 3 he made a mistake with the getting caught up by Carver trying to get food, and then in episode 4 with the Jane thing, that could have been a mistake. It wasn't that bad, didn't have that many bad consequences. We just lost an early warning system to the walkers. All right, so Kenny in episode 4, in my opinion, he took a step back to me because I mean, I can see, you know, I understand if you chopped off Sarita's arm, Kenny would be very upset with you because he would blame you for the cause of her death. But even if you chop the walker in the head with the axe, you get the exact same response. Kenny is still mad at you and still blaming you for Sarita's death, which I don't think is warranted at all. I was like really upset with him when I was reading that, when I was reading the dialogue, when I was playing through it. And the fact that, you know, he left me, they kind of, him and Mike, they kind of abandoned Clem, man. That whole situation where, you know, Mike was trying to grab Kenny and run off, they left me there in the middle of all those walkers, man. And then when I got back to camp, Kenny acted like he didn't even care if I was alive or not. So that really hurt me as a Kenny fan right there. And that's one way I think he may have taken a step back in my page. And Luke and this whole Jane thing. All right, so guys, let's look at this. You know, let's look at this, okay, man. So Luke slept with Jane. I hear everybody blaming Luke left and right. But if you think about it, who probably offered it? Okay, who you think Luke came up and was like, hey Jane, man, you know, I'm a little but come on guys, seeing that we know the characters that we know, who you think is really to blame, man? Is Adam to blame for taking the apple from Eve, all right? Or is Eve to blame for giving Adam the apple? All right, who's to blame? All right, because I know Jane offered it up, and Luke was there. He was like, man, I ain't been having a shitty day. Carver done whipped my ass, man. My friends are dying left and right, and I get this slight moment of bliss. All right, now if this had taken place and there was no, it was like really bad timing, because I don't think anybody would have counted it against him if he done his thing with Jane and there was no threat, there was nothing going on in the background behind the scenes, and he was fulfilling his duty. All right, I agree though. The man had a purpose to fulfill, and he slipped up pretty bad, man. But I do think Jane is elicited this sex. All right, I don't think Kenny, you know, I don't think Luke, after pursued her, Jane was like, hey, you're a man, I'm a woman, let's do this. Caveman style, the caveman pickup line. Okay, so moving on. So let's go ahead and get to it, man. Who do I choose, man? I thought the decision, you know, whether or not to, you know, Kenny and Luke, they're fighting at the end, whether or not to, you know, leave immediately the next day or wait a few days and leave. I thought that would have some kind of relevance and some kind of weight to it, but it didn't have anything. It still had the same outcome. I wonder if that's gonna have a difference episode 5. But if I had to choose, man, I'm gonna have to stick with my boy Kenny. All right, I'm gonna have to stick with Kenny. Yes, Luke is all right, man. Kenny is, he's kind of losing it, man, but I do admire his passion, man. He cares. Like Kenny is very emotional. He takes death very hard. Luke, on the other hand, he seems like he doesn't take death very hard at all. Seeing that he's basically lost almost everybody that's close around him. If Kenny had lost that many people as Luke has lost, like if he had that many family members, like all of them people in his house were like his family members, and he lost all of them, Kenny would probably be out of there by now. Okay, seriously. But the question in my mind right now is that would I still be with Kenny if he wasn't in season 1? All right, so that's a question, man, because the nostalgia factor, you know, everybody, when they found Kenny, I'm pretty sure no one was like, damn it, not this guy again. Maybe some people were, but I'm pretty sure it was a very small percentage. But everybody was like, oh my God, it's Kenny, you know, in a very happy and excited voice. So, you know, that nostalgia factor really plays a role in, you know, my decision to pick Kenny. But if Kenny was not in season 1, would I still pick him? I don't know, guys. I do not know. All right, so if you are paying attention, if you are listening to my video at this point, I'd like to thank you for staying with me right here. And also, The Walking Dead playthrough episode 5 is coming up on Wednesday for me. I'm gonna be offline tomorrow, so no spoilers. I won't be hearing none of that. I'm probably hooking up my new internet because I just upgraded to Xfinity and it's supposed to be fast as hell. We're gonna find out. I'm gonna try to set it up tomorrow, and if everything goes well, I'm gonna be live streaming a lot more. So guys, if you haven't already, check out my Twitch and link below, because that is gonna be firing up very shortly. Or I may just be live on YouTube, you know, bypass Twitch and just do my feeds live on my gameplay live on YouTube, which would be fly as hell. But guys, I'm out of here. Let me know what you guys think, man. I'm still with Team Kenny, man. Nostalgia factor is really pulling me into his side, I ain't gonna lie. But Kenny, he's, you know, he's on the loose end, man. He's on the diving board. He's about to jump off, okay? But guys, that's all I gotta say. I'm out of here. Stay tuned for more. Subscribe if you haven't already. Peace out.